You need to try and pick off the units as... Look at the shields on the mark.
Oh my god, the drone's gonna
What's up, everybody? We are back. This is Pain User.
This is HD.
And we got game 2 for you guys between LaLuSh and ThorZaIN. LaLuSh spawning in the top right-hand corner as our red Zerg. His opponent in the blue trunks. ThorZaIN in the top left-hand corner. He's going to be our blue Terran. The map is Crevasse. By the way, ThorZaIN on Team Mouse. LaLuSh on Team Millennium.
Yep.
Got to throw that in there. Game 1. So epic. So epic.
I have to say, probably one of the best games I've ever casted in my short career of casting StarCraft 2.
Yes, our short careers of casting StarCraft 2. We have seen so many games, and that game was so impressive. But anyway, here we go. The map is Crevasse, TVZ, and let's get right into it. Neither player... I got to imagine that LaLuSh is a little bit frustrated after that game. He tried to go for the base race there. It didn't work out for him. He was never able to kill ThorZaIN's forward expeditionary force. It just did so much damage. Killed his natural, killed his main, killed all of his unit-producing structures, or... I keep saying that. With Zerg, I don't really know what to call them. The structures that allow you to produce units. It's your spawning pool, your baneling nest,
your roach warren, your
spire.
infestation pit, and those are the buildings that are really the most important, I would say, when attacking a Zerg. If you take a page out of MMA's book, the winner of the previous MLG main event, they're so good at targeting primary Zerg buildings.
Absolutely.
And they prevent that. What it does is it prevents the Zerg player from producing attacking units
for a little bit.
But during that window,
it gives you a window of opportunity for an attack timing.
Yeah.
And they're so good at utilizing that.
A lot of Terran players will actually, when they drop in, instead of attacking drones, they'll strike straight into a spire or a baneling nest. And I just think that's a great way to play. I mean, it's so much more exacting and precise and more cold and calculating, because if you can hit those windows perfectly, then you're going to be golden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we are on Crevasse, like you said. This is a very big map. I would expect
one of the biggest, if not the biggest.
Yeah,
it's a tie between Tal'Darim and Crevasse.
We've never really settled that as to what map is bigger, but I would say that this is probably going to boil down to a very macro-based game. Remember, there are lots of expansions. There's one inside the main. Zerg players typically opt to go for the one on the outside for the extra gas, but it looks like LaLuSh has hatched right away into the inside one.
Yeah. LaLuSh, interestingly enough, actually going for the in-base expansion. We will see a lot of Zerg players expand to that third right away.
Yeah.
And we do have a reactor first opener here from ThorZaIN. This is very interesting. Going for that Hellion opener, it looks like. Going to get some of that map control. Use the Hellions to patrol the map. Deny Xel'Naga towers. And I love how ThorZaIN does this in the early to mid game in TVZ. He denies a lot of Zerg map control. He doesn't allow his opponent to feel safe and feel secure.
Yeah. And ThorZaIN is one of those players that we've been talking about before, Pain User. I mean, we were just talking about cold, exact, calculating players and play styles. ThorZaIN is probably, if you look that up in the definition of Webster's 9th edition of StarCraft or whatever, you would see ThorZaIN's picture there, because he's so preparatory, so exacting and calculating as to his build orders, the way he plays the game. Everything hits that timing window perfectly. I recall casting a game with ThorZaIN where he had these upgrades coming from Marines, and the +1 weapons, the stim pack, and the shields all finishing at the same time. And that's just an example of how smart of a player ThorZaIN is, and it's so impressive to watch.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. ThorZaIN has very well timed out builds, almost to the second. And that's one of the things that impresses me so much as a Terran player watching ThorZaIN. And it looks like he's actually going to open with a Banshee first here. I don't think he's going to get Cloak. He is working off 2 gas. And oh my goodness, we do have a tech lab going down on the factory as well. So we might see a Marine tank Banshee push here. This is usually much more common in TVP or perhaps TVT. It's not something we've seen that much in TVZ lately. So let's see if ThorZaIN, and wow, researching Siege right away.
Wow.
That is his initial upgrade before his first tank.
This is interesting. So you're expecting to see possibly some kind of a Marine tank plus Banshee timing push here.
Absolutely.
The problem here is when you're going for all of that off of one base, and even if you get that extra gas on the inside expansion, you really don't have all that much gas to support the stim pack upgrade. In fact, we can see ThorZaIN isn't getting the tech lab, so his Marines will actually have no upgrades whatsoever. He's dropping a second barracks now on the tech lab, so his upgrade will come, but it will be a little bit delayed. Now, if he attacks with this as a Zerg player, as if you're imagining LaLuSh right now, what you're going to need to defend against this is a combination of Lings, possibly get those Mutilas up as quickly as possible, and maybe even some Banelings. We can see the Banshee coming in here now, getting about 2 kills, using that stutter micro, and it will be repelled away by the Queens, but getting a free 3 kills there, not bad at all.
Yeah. 3 kills, exactly what he intended to do with this Banshee. He might also deny a little bit of that creep spread with the Banshee. That's another thing Banshees are so good for. And look, we see him headed right back in, waiting for that creep tumor, and
Perfect
he denies
call,
it.
man.
I love it when things like
Can
that happen.
Can I pay you to be my psychic?
But no, that is
You're gonna bust out the tarot cards and everything.
That is one of those things that getting the early Banshee allows you to do. It allows you to slow down that early creep tumor production, and it just gives you a little bit of map control when early on, Zerg players generally will retain that map control with Speedlings and control the Xel'Naga. So the Banshee allows you to deny all of that, so they don't know what's coming and they don't know when it's coming.
Yeah, rather than, if you open Hellions, you're going to have map control, but you can also retain map control with the air unit, the Banshee, as well. So I guess it's kind of a preference thing. It's kind of an option. And honestly, Hellions, I think, are great. But on this map, I think they're less utilizable than on a map where Zerg players would expand to the outside most of the time. So this is a map where maybe Hellions would have a harder time because they've got to run into the main and then have access to the natural. By the way, LaLuSh has made the lair at the natural. That's a preference thing.
Yeah, just giving it that extra HP boost, maybe in the event that a drop comes later. That Banshee, having been repaired, is now headed back in to possibly deny some more creep. Gonna hover over the dead forest over here and just hang out. But he does have those tanks and Marines pushing in right now, and this could be a very effective timing push for ThorZaIN right here. I don't think LaLuSh is ready for this. The 3 tanks coming in immediately, sieging up. He will be able to deny the third here. LaLuSh needs to make something happen. He has the Queens ready. He has the Speedlings ready.
Yeah.
He is going to come with a massive attack here, but the question is, will the hatchery go down first?
I think LaLuSh right here is waiting for his Mutas to come out. His Mutas have just spawned right now, but they are too late to save the hatchery. ThorZaIN with a cold and calculating push on the natural takes it out, but here, can he reserve his forces, or will he lose everything? That's the question we're waiting to answer. It looks like ThorZaIN backing up with the Marines, but LaLuSh may have enough Mutilas to clean up this attack force, and no, LaLuSh deciding to fall back. I thought maybe he had enough to break that, and I think he's just waiting for more Ling support to tank the damage. Finally gonna come here and clean it up, and now the question is, was it worth it for ThorZaIN to trade his army for the hatchery?
Absolutely. ThorZaIN denying the hatchery there and killing quite a few Zerg units. I definitely think that was a cost-effective push for ThorZaIN. Very, very awkward timing push with those 3 tanks with Siege, the Marines without upgrades, and the medevac just added to help heal. Very well done. Denies the third, and once again, ThorZaIN's third command center is done before LaLuSh is taking his third. He continues to be able to out macro LaLuSh.
Yeah.
And that's really been the story of Game 1, and it's the story of Game 2 so far.
Kind of like a pop-open storybook. You read it, and ThorZaIN's always ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I guess the thing there in that last battle was LaLuSh was able to come ahead in the army in terms of, wiping out the Terrans. So he did get the chance here because he's killed off the entire army of ThorZaIN to expand wherever he pleases. So by doing so, he has capitalized and he has double expanded. He's grabbed one down here at the inside 3 o'clock location. He's reestablishing the third, so he will stay 1 hatchery above the Terrans. So I guess the one thing you can take away from LaLuSh there, because he was able to kill off the entire Terran army was he now has map control. He can spread creep without worrying about anything taking it out, and he can double expand. So he can play the macro game.
It's not a tumor. Spreading creep tumors all over right now is LaLuSh. He really has that creep tumor spread going all over right now, and he's managed to make up for that one creep tumor snipe that Banshee was able to get. And that's what the beauty of having the extra queen is. He even has overlords positioned between the two bases just to add that extra creep. So virtually any territory that's going to be fought on right now, LaLuSh is going to have the upper hand in terms of creep. But if we look at ThorZaIN's army right now, he is building up that siege tank count. He's working off of 2 factories. He also has the lead in supply. He is up 117 right now. So just doing a great job. And this next push from ThorZaIN could be devastating.
It could be, man. It could just end the game, because if we look at the army tab, we can see it's 126 over 120. And anytime a Terran player has more army supply than a Zerg, well, as a Zerg player, I just shudder in fear, man. Because cost for cost, unit for unit, supply count for supply count, a Terran's forces are stronger than a Zerg's forces. So the Zerg has to be extra careful when battling against a Terran. And you were mentioning this, Pain User. One thing that is so helpful is the creep. LaLuSh here is going to have all this creep in the middle of the map to help foster his engagement in the center. He'll have that advantage when the time for battle comes.
Yes, to help foster his engagement.
It's like nourishing a child.
Well, I mean, it'll certainly help speed-wise for his engagement. He'll be able to set up flanks much quicker. He'll be able to possibly surround much quicker. He can work from multiple angles, but judging from the spawn positions, it's going to be very easy for ThorZaIN to work straight across towards LaLuSh's third, and it's going to be very difficult for LaLuSh to do anything about ThorZaIN pushing towards this third. ThorZaIN being so patient right now with his Marines, keeping the Marines behind the siege tanks, using the Thor in the front to kind of test the waters, push ahead with the Thor. It's such a high HP unit. And that's
Test
really a
the
great way
waters.
to use it.
Test the waters with the Thor, huh? What about the Rust, man? This thing's like all metal.
Well, I'm certain that Thors can't swim, but they can walk on creep, and that's what he's doing right now. He's walking on the creep directly towards the third, being very aggressive here. LaLuSh not able to establish any kind of a counterattack.
Oh, and he is countering, actually. He's doing a little bit of a backdoor counter over the planetary fortress. But all the meanwhile, what is he going to do about the main push here? This is like a dagger inside LaLuSh's body. He needs to figure out some way to deal with this, but most of his Mutalisks occupying themselves down to the south. And it almost seems like once again, LaLuSh's hesitation is costing him. I mean, if he loses his hatchery again, that is going to be so devastating. He will end up spiking that Thor. The swimmer in the water finally goes down, so the scouting frontal unit gets taken out. It looks like the Mutalisks may be able to clean off this planetary as well. Oh my god, and I actually think ThorZaIN will be able to repair it in time, but he's losing several of his forces. Marines coming in one at a time. The tanks are now vulnerable as well, and LaLuSh has found an opening with his Mutalisks to do some significant damage.
Oh no, but the Mutalisks flying directly into 2 turrets right there, flying into a 3rd turret, losing so many mutas right now. His 3rd has gone down. ThorZaIN is in a great position over at the 3rd right now, preventing all reinforcements from heading to the 4th, heading to the 5th. LaLuSh is in a tight spot right now. His back is against the wall. He has a knife to his throat.
Yeah. Oh, I called it the dagger in the side of his body.
Thorn in the side, dagger in the side, dagger to the ribs.
He's got to figure out a way to remove this without hemorrhaging from his body.
There is no way. ThorZaIN in an absolutely superior position right now, and he is working towards the main. LaLuSh in full scramble mode. He has lost all of his creep. His one hope was for those Mutalisks, and here we go. He's coming in with everything. Lings on top of the tanks. Roach is coming in from the side, and everything is going down.
Yeah, but LaLuSh was able to strike out quite a few Marines there. And the thing here you guys have to remember is if LaLuSh is able to kill off enough Marines, then his Mutalisks will be able to clean off these tanks. There is relatively no anti-air left. It looks like LaLuSh has killed off all the Marines, and he will be able to clear off these tanks. Meanwhile, a little skirmish in the middle of the map, but the important thing to take away is LaLuSh will have some breathing time here because he's finally cleared off this dagger in the side of his stomach.
What beautiful micro from ThorZaIN, though. He's going to be able to shut down the 4th here, although these Marines will get taken out by the roaches, killing so many drones. And now it's up to ThorZaIN to rebuild his army back at the main. LaLuSh has held on. He is still in this game. His 4th and 5th are still operational. He did lose his 3rd. ThorZaIN continuing to macro. What a great infrastructure he has set up right now, though. Weapons 2 on the way, and he is just continuing to pump Marines and tanks out of all of his buildings. And things have come to a little bit of a lull here, relatively equalized.
I have to say, big up to LaLuSh for holding off that attack. He removed the dagger, he stopped the bleeding, he controlled it, and it's almost like we're seeing a calm now. We're in the eye of the tornado, so to say.
The calm before the storm?
The calm before the storm, the eye of the tornado, the perfect storm, whatever, before the boat capsizes. LaLuSh has... he's held on, man. I mean, laugh all you want, but I am idolizing him right now as a Zerg player for doing what he's done, because not many Zergs can hold off a consecrated push like ThorZaIN's and still able to survive in the game. But here's the thing. ThorZaIN has dropships moving out across the map. He's once again going to play that cold, calculating style. And LaLuSh, his problem is his hatcheries are very spread out, and he has no creep to give that speed bonus so he can defend the hatches. And it looks like because of that, he may end up losing 1 or 2.
Beautiful drops by ThorZaIN right here. Gonna inflict so much damage. If he gets this hatchery, that could be terrible. And he is gonna get the hatchery. Might even sneak out of there with his medevac. No, that it will get fungled. And no, it's actually not.
Oh,
no,
man.
Second fungal does go off, and an infested Terran drop just for good measure. But losing both of those hatcheries puts LaLuSh in a very tight position. ThorZaIN so intelligently realizing that he needs to do something about those extraneous bases for LaLuSh, takes out both of them right now. So LaLuSh, essentially, with his main mind out and his natural mind out, is just working off of this single base right here, and it's not even very well saturated. He just doesn't have the income to support the army production necessary to deal with this, and look at this push we have coming from ThorZaIN.
ThorZaIN is setting up once again. I don't know if it's actually a push, though. It may just be a security measure to grab yet again another expansion. And let's go ahead and look at how many expos there are. ThorZaIN operating off of about 3 mining bases. LaLuSh operating off of 1 and soon to be 2. But once again, the problem here, Pain User, is the creep spread, not connecting the hatcheries, meaning that any dropships that come in are doubly effective because the Zerg player LaLuSh cannot reinforce in time, and that's a problem. In fact, if we look on the mini-map right now, there really isn't that much creep at all, man.
Well, yeah, that's just due to the fact that ThorZaIN has been bringing it to LaLuSh all game. He's been on his side of the map, he's been very aggressive, and he continues to do so, and now he's working towards LaLuSh's 4th. He has siege tanks set up in the middle of the map in a great position, and he is just slowly choking him out, one step at a time. And I love when I see Terran players do this. It's just that boa constrictor style. He's slowly constricting on him, not being too aggressive, not losing his tanks, just being very patient. And I think it's only a matter of time here before he squeezes the rest of the life out of LaLuSh.
Ah, very nice. Almost like poetry from Pain User there. And ThorZaIN here is moving out with a small task force of Marines once again to take out a hatchery. LaLuSh slow to react here. Almost seems like he's hesitant because of the tanks on the north side on that plateau up there. And it looks like as a result he will sacrifice this hatchery. I don't quite agree with that. I feel like he could have taken out those Marines. Now, LaLuSh is only down to 2 mining bases down in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. His forces are mild and meager and almost timid at this point. They're almost like confused as to what to do.
Well, he is saving up for that Greater Spire. It's about to finish right now. He has 1k minerals, 1.5k gas. He's going to morph in quite a few Broodlords. There are no Vikings out on the field, but ThorZaIN adding those ghosts into the mix. He's going to be able to snipe those Broodlords. He does have a few Vikings just now joining the squad. We do have 2 Vikings, I believe, over the siege tanks in mid. So he is prepared. He knows the Broodlord switch is coming, and he is just on top of things right now. He is playing such a solid game.
Yeah, what a smart StarCraft player, man. He didn't even have to scout the Greater Spire. He just knows that, hey, it's 25 minutes in the game, about time for Greater Spire to come up.
And he might
in fact,
take out the
he
Greater
kills
Spire
off
with a
the
drop.
Greater Spire. Oh my god, he kills off the Greater Spire with a drop.
He's
and he
gonna
may
get
get out
the
the Infestation Pit as well. Oh, he gets the Infestation Pit. These roaches are confused. They don't know where to go. Finally fighting alongside their Broodling brothers, and they will be able to take out those Marines. But
Not
the
even.
damage. Oh, not even. Yeah, you're right. Those Marines actually able to repel the roaches. What a battle.
Wow. So impressive. Let's check on one of those Marines right there. The 2-0 upgrades from ThorZaIN proving to be so effective right there, and now they are just going to start sniping all of the Overlords in the main. He could potentially supply lock LaLuSh for quite some time. LaLuSh just scrambling, but to his credit, scrambling on all different sides of the map, able to bring things back together, and his army is actually quite sizable at this point. And oh my god, these Vikings are gonna have a field day. It's a turkey shoot, but they're not protecting the tanks.
They're not here to save the tanks against Broodlords, but the Ghosts are, and the Ghosts launching money EMPs off on the Infestors, and now the Ghosts able to freely attack the Broodlords without any Overseer support for the Zerg, and it looks like all the Broodlords getting sniped to pieces. Oh my god! At the end of the day, though, LaLuSh may have enough forces to clean out the middle. No! He has to fall back. Another depth line of tanks in the back, about 4 of them. These Broodlords finally running away for their lives as the Vikings have joined the battle, and this is just an all-out brawl at in the middle of Crevasse to see who can retain map control.
And I think ThorZaIN's going to be able to hold on to it here once the rest of these Corruptors go down. The Broodlords are vulnerable. They will be taken out as well. Overseer going to go down here, and there is one Viking in the main of LaLuSh that continues to work down all of these Overlords. How many kills does he have? 3 kills going on his 4th. He might be able to supply lock LaLuSh here. LaLuSh continues to lose all of these Overlords, continues to get choked out, and man, ThorZaIN just playing a very intelligent, very slow-paced game right here.
And Pain User, here's what I was saying before. He's so smart and calculating. He knew that he needed to pull his Vikings to save his main army in the middle, but he left one Viking in the main to work the Overlords. How smart is that, man? Because what does this do if you're a Zerg? It's like you gotta get Mutalisk, you gotta get some kind of anti-air, but your Spire was sniped, so you can't get any anti-air save the Infestors. Now you've got to work your APM to run the Overlords away, and it's just a constant game of pressure that eventually I feel like LaLuSh will crumble to.
LaLuSh is in the deep red right now. That Viking just killing Overlord after Overlord. So well played right there. LaLuSh forced to head over here and take out the eventual 6th of ThorZaIN. He will be able to get this. That is quite a few roaches, and that PF dropped like it never even existed in the first place. Gonna pull out of there immediately, but ThorZaIN using this opportunity while LaLuSh's forces are completely out of position. Gonna head in and take out LaLuSh's most important mining base right now at the 3 o'clock position. LaLuSh has nothing to deal with this, and it might go down before those roaches even get back to deal with it.
No, the roaches are back right now, but they are not quite in range, or it seems like they may be a little gun-shy to attack, or maybe a little fearful, because that's a lot of tanks, a lot of ghosts, and a lot of Marines out there, man. That could be absolutely devastating, but he's moving in towards the middle to cut off the reinforcements. I really like this. This is smart. This strands the tanks all by themselves, and now LaLuSh has the option to attack, but ThorZaIN's so smart, lifting off his forces, elevating them over the roaches, resupplying the tanks for
LaLuSh
support.
was able to burrow all of those roaches and pop up on top of the siege tanks, that could be devastating for ThorZaIN. All of ThorZaIN's siege tanks are in a clump right now. They're not spread out. I don't know if LaLuSh has realized this. It looks like he's setting up for a gigantic flank here, but not utilizing burrow. I wonder if he will.
I wonder too. I also wonder if who's going to win the real estate battle here between LaLuSh and ThorZaIN, because it looks like that Orbital really wants to land down there and occupy that land below. Big battle in the middle. Could happen at any moment. LaLuSh is now maneuvering down to the south. It looks like he decided not to burrow his Infestors and strike these tanks, and I feel like this was an opportunity, like you said, Ping, that he missed. He definitely could have attacked that clump of tanks up with his Infestors, and it looks like ThorZaIN will win the real estate battle.
Indeed, he is going after that prime real estate. Gonna go ahead and take over Boardwalk and Park Place.
He realizes the property will appreciate over the next 10 years. Our economy is doing better.
Gonna have to wait for that creep to dissipate, though. And now in the middle, we do have LaLuSh set up with a nice flank here. So in the event that he wants to attack, He could crush ThorZaIN's army here, but ThorZaIN continuing to macro back at his base. He will have reinforcements, but what is LaLuSh going to do about ThorZaIN pushing on his last base here? This is his last mining base. He's not mining from the natural here. He only has the bottom right position, and he has to protect that. And keep in mind, ThorZaIN is between him and that position.
Yeah, like I said, the thorn in the side of the Zerg, and it's never a situation that a Zerg wants to be in. When there's forces all over your base, it looks like he just lost another critical structure here. I'm not quite sure which, but he will end up losing the Baneling's Nest, which will be a little bit of a pain in the side. And here
we
comes
go.
the attack by LaLuSh. All the EMPs going off, but the infested Terrans able to spawn right next to the tanks. And it looks like LaLuSh will be able to push and break ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN escaping with 4 ghosts in hand, able to salvage a little bit out of that battle, ends up losing it. And here comes another fight down to the south. What a game of StarCraft.
Wow, I think ThorZaIN has this in the bag, though. He is still continually mining off of all of his bases. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bases right now, only 3 of which are mining. But if you compare that to LaLuSh's 1 base, I don't think he's going to be able to hold on. He has lost most of his tech. He is only able to produce roaches at this point. He's going to lose his spawning pool here. He's also going to lose that evolution chamber, and he could as well lose the hive if ThorZaIN continues to press forward with that small group of Marines and Marauders.
Yeah, and here's the hive, man. This is the secret hidden location where the hive has been all game long. And if he loses this along with all those unit producing structures, that's just going to be so devastating, man. He's gonna have to rebuild everything from the ground up. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna suck. And LaLuSh knows that. He may just opt to try to end the game right here, right now with one concerted effort, but he's walking into all these tanks. They all siege up, and these roaches are going to be obliterated by the tanks. LaLuSh realizing that will fall back and save his roaches to fight another day, but about half of them going down in that engagement.
Yeah, they will go down, and that is so many siege tanks. He does not have the option to make Broodlords anymore. He does not have that many Infestors left. He is just trying to prevent mining for as long as possible here at the base. Snipes going off on the remaining Infestors, picking up the ghosts to save them, and all he has left is this small group of roaches, and it is only a matter of time before ThorZaIN is able to clinch this game and the series. He is just playing phenomenally.
Yeah, this is an incredible game.
47 to 138 supply.
And the hive finally goes down, Pain User, after all those Marauders were striking it for the last minute or so. Even the Marauders surviving thanks to the global health insurance provided by the dropships. And ThorZaIN killing off the last remnants of the Zerg. Oh, there's a changeling right there, but he has killed off most of the Zerg's real estate here, claiming it for his own. ThorZaIN, just look at the minimap, guys. He's worked his way out from his main to the natural, to the 3rd, to the 4th, to the 5th, down to the south, the 6th, and the 7th. The Zerg player, meanwhile, losing the main, losing the hive at the natural, had to reestablish his whole base down to the bottom right-hand corner, and that just tells you guys how the pace of this game has gone.
Well,
completely dominated by ThorZaIN.
Absolutely, and the problem is that LaLuSh has never really been able to reestablish. He's tried to reestablish. ThorZaIN has continued to prevent him from doing that.
Have you ever seen that? Changeling bombs?
Dropping some changeling bombs. Well, too bad that they don't automatically target and fire right away. An option to allow tanks to just auto-target those. But this is the final push here. ThorZaIN working towards the new relocated main of LaLuSh, and he is going to be able to take it out. There are just way too many ghosts, way too many siege tanks for LaLuSh to deal with, and I don't know how he's going to respond here. He's trying to produce Hydralisks.
Wow,
he's trying to produce Infestors, but it's not going to be enough.
You got to give credit to LaLuSh, though, man. He's still hanging in there despite the deficit, despite the setbacks, despite the army disadvantage. He hasn't left the game yet. It almost seems like he wants to fight it out for bravery, for valiancy, for honor, perhaps. And maybe we'll see a GG if he leaves this game. You never know.
Perhaps we will. Those ghosts all cloaking up. There is no Overseer in sight. There it is. It might get sniped out. Ling's trying to come up and deal with these ghosts, but they will all get slaughtered. ThorZaIN unsieging all of his tanks. And like Goody, the Panzer Commander just marching into the bottom right-hand corner with all of these unsieged tanks, decimating the remainder of the Zerg base, buildings exploding.
How do you like your Zerg done, Pain User? Well done, barbecued, crispy, broiled,
Tank fried.
tank fried? Well, hey, ThorZaIN is the chef, man. He's the Zerg baker.
Oh my goodness. The remainder of the drones going down, and now I don't know what.
GG!
There it is.
Oh, my crystal
GG.
ball's working today.
GG comes out of LaLuSh. ThorZaIN will take the series 2-0, and he will move on to fight Moon.
And what a great series of StarCraft 2.
Very impressive series between LaLuSh and ThorZaIN. Some of the best games we've seen coming down to the wire in both games. Although in game 2, ThorZaIN having a much more firm handle on the game. Never really felt like he was in jeopardy. Had map control, maintained control over mid for a duration of the game, and just such impressive play from him, working with Ghosts in later on, EMPing the Infestors, sniping the Broodlord, sniping Infestors. Just all around great play from ThorZaIN. I'm so impressed and really looking forward to his games in the future in this tournament.
All right, guys. Well, we want to thank you guys all for tuning in to this week's edition of the IPL. And guess what? ThorZaIN will be moving on to play against Moonan in the losers bracket. And LaLuSh has been eliminated from the IPL. But give your hands up for LaLuSh, an amazing Zerg player. But that doesn't mean that the IPL is over. I advise you guys all to stay tuned. And also check me out on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/HDStarcraft. I also now have a Twitter. Finally, my co-casters have convinced me to use Twitter. It's twitter.com/HDStarcraft, or just go to Twitter and type in at HDStarcraft. And Pain User.
Yep, you can find me at twitter.com/PainUser, and you can also find me at youtube.com/StratBunker. And if you guys enjoyed that cast, make sure to check out more at IGN.com/IPL. You can also sign up for some of our social media links at Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and JustinTV.com/IGN Pro League. Please do follow on Justin TV. We truly appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the cast, and we will catch you.
See you guys later.